Hey, how's it going? It is the political integrity news here, and today I wanted to talk about 2 months ago, Rachel Maddow went on The View and she said some things that aren't exactly true. Some things are when talking about how Trump really doesn't seem to like how election polling and results go, but we'll speak to what she says that is not true and why it's not true. So let's just play the clip and then we'll talk.
Here's the thing. When Donald Trump won the election in 2016, fair and square, he said it was rigged. Right. He won the Republican primaries. He said they were rigged. He ran for re-election in 2020. Before the election, he said it was rigged. Then when he lost the election, he said it was rigged. He does not like elections. He does not like voting as a system by which we decide who's going to be the president.
Yeah, right.
When he was running for re-election in 2020, the Republican Party decided they were no longer going to have a platform. They abolished their platform and said, our new platform is whatever Donald Trump wants, we're for that.
That's right.
So if you don't stand for anything other than what he wants, you don't vote, you just put him in power. Yeah. And once he's there, nobody is allowed to disagree with him or say anything that he doesn't believe.
And what is that called?
That is what a lot of other countries all around the world have, and it is not democracy.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to get rid of the American system of government, and that means getting rid of a government that does anything other than serve him, and that's what Project 2025 is all about. Yeah. And that exists everywhere in the world, and it has never existed here before. And so I really think the bottom line here is that Trump and his movement, they are not running against Democrats. They're running against democracy. Yeah. They're running against the democratic process. They want to radically change the kind of system that...
Okay, so we're going to stop there. I stopped it prematurely and let it then play out. But what she's talking about is that they're against democracy, and she alludes to Trump not liking the elections, calling them rigged, and everything else under the sort. Well, then she says that they just put Trump in power. Like, no, Trump has ran in 3 different elections as a Republican candidate and won the primaries for all 3 per the people's vote. The party that did not have the people's vote select the nominee in the primary that is currently running is the Democrats with Kamala Harris. The primaries were done and they just did a roll call after Kamala Harris said that, hey, I'm putting my name in the hat to be president. And I guess per the rules and laws and everything that deal with the campaign funds, her name was on that ticket to be able to use the campaign funds. But that's the general election ticket. That was not the primary ticket. Primaries don't have vice presidents listed, contrary to what these ignorant people, I mean, that's the nicest way of putting it. Ignorance is, the lack of knowledge on the subject. They're ignorant people on this. Primaries do not have that, because most of the time, a primary could potentially be 2 different candidates getting selected that are not a sitting president. Your current sitting president could very well be a 2-term sitting president that can no longer run again. Therefore, that would mean that it could be like the 2016, where it was Hillary and Trump that weren't sitting presidents. They did not have, during the primaries, their vice president selected, because they're still going through the process when all these votes are coming in of weeding out the candidates. Like, why would I say that my biggest opponent is my vice president on my ticket in the primary? Like, Obama ran against Biden. So why would Obama first had stated that Joe Biden is his VP pick in the primaries? Not a thing. That's a general election. So for people to say that Harris is on the primary ticket, therefore she can just be put on because people voted for her in the primaries. They did not. Nobody voted for her in the primaries, not even in 2020 primaries. She was so bad at the debate in 2020 that she dropped out early. And since then, her job approval ratings had plummeted to the lowest since Dan Quayle, that was vice president in the 90s for George H.W. Bush. So she had very abysmal low job approval rating as vice president, and her polling before the debate between Biden and Trump, and even just after the debate between Biden and Trump, was worse than what Biden was polling at between Biden versus Trump polls in a lot of the swing states. Then miraculously, they're talking about the youthfulness of the Democrats and the fact that they're energized and now they supposedly support freedom and they're patriotic. They're using all these key words. Like, let me just give you some insight. If a whole bunch of newscasts is using the same keywords that are not being said in a speech by somebody, and they're saying energize, youthfulness, all these various key words they're highlighting, patriotic and everything. If they're starting to use those words, that means that they're getting the script. They're getting the playbook of what to say to help the candidate. So do you really trust those news networks to be unbiased at things? Like, we need to try to be unbiased when talking about some of the news. I know I can lean myself sometimes when talking about stuff into who I really prefer, and you can hear it in sometimes the things I say. Therefore, if I'm saying something that is factually wrong, call me out in the comments and let's keep it civil, polite, and have a debate about it. And if I'm wrong, I will take down what I was wrong about, edit it, whatever I need to do, and I will issue a video statement apologizing, admitting I was wrong. And I will darn sure make that video try to get as many views as the video I made that was wrong. I'm not going to suppress the fact that I was wrong or lied or anything of the sort like some other channels do. My channel may not be huge, but I intend to do my best to get there and provide you with some great unbiased news. And to say that the Republicans are not for democracy and they just put Trump in office, no, they don't just put, well, as a nominee or whatever, they don't just do that. That's the people's vote that did it. The people selected him as the nominee 3 times, and then the people at the Electoral College gave him the presidency the first time. We haven't seen the results this time, but let me put it to you this way. The mainstream media is already touting out Madam President like they did in 2016. So they're trying, they're pushing. They are pushing Harris on you hard when they were not doing that before. She had an interview, she spoke to some of her policies. I still need to see a list so I can break down her policies. But I know some of her previous policies that she is kind of flip-flopped on, and stuff with immigration has not been the greatest. So we need to make a video on that. But the Democrats can't claim they're for democracy when the people never got to choose the nominee. In 2020, they didn't want Harris. And now supposedly in 2021 or 2024, they want Harris. And right after, in 2021, when Biden Harris won the presidency, vice president, there was leaks coming out. And these were leaks saying that Biden was only supposed to be running for 4 years. He wasn't going to do a second term. And that Harris was on the ticket because that's who the Democrats wanted. to be on for president and then election. So she was going to do essentially what Biden had did, which is gain more support from being the vice president of Obama. So she would gain support being the vice president of Joe Biden, getting his support and Obama's support, and that she was actually going to run. But the polling came out, and this is why it was kind of stated that Biden waited a little longer than normal, which I would have to fact check that. But the polling numbers showed that people just weren't in having Kamala Harris as president. So the Democrats panicked and were like, well, Biden, you need to run. And they were talking Biden up like he was still such an amazing person. He was all capable. His mental capacity was at 100%. It was the youthful Biden that we had back during the Obama days in 2008 on. And that just was not the case. And when they could no longer hide it after the debate, they were like, well, what are we going to do now? And Biden kind of spoke to it, making claims that it was Pelosi that basically forced him out then. And they put Harris in, and then they told everyone, Harris is our option. Everyone support Harris for democracy. If you're for democracy, you're going to support Harris. Well, how can you claim you're for democracy supporting a candidate that nobody wanted, that you yourself had supposedly wanted, then didn't want when the people were telling you that they don't want her? And now you're telling the people to want her, and you're manipulating the thought process of the people with all of your news stories. Like, the Republican Party and Trump are not perfect, but by no means are they doing Project 2025. Like, Project 2025 has nothing to do with Trump. That lie and rumor has been dispelled many times over. But they want to say it's true because that is the biggest bad thing that anyone doesn't want to see, for the most part, unless you're on Project 2025. So they're using that to try to fear people like they did with the pandemic to vote for Harris. But no, they're not for democracy. So if you feel I'm wrong, debate me, call me out. Let's keep it civil. But you can't say you're for a Democratic vote when there was no Democratic vote for Harris to be in office by the people. The vote came from those in the Democratic Party at the DNC that said we vote for Harris. But the people that they represent in casting that vote did not cast a vote to tell them Harris is who we want. So, think I'm wrong? Call me out. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are subscribed. I hope you guys like the video. And I will see you guys on the next one.